What's shaking? Hey, I'm Rick Jordan. Today, we're going all in. Cool, my man. So we'll just, we'll just, jump right into it, man.
Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah. So what's up with the top 10 CEO rankings?
What is up with that? Honored. This will be the fourth year in a row. This year closes on the 31st of December. And think of it like an American Idol. There's people that submit you to this pretty credible agency, and then you got to get votes. And obviously the work that you do adds value and credibility. So all the media that I do, the news releases, building all the companies inside of my private holdings, and then what we're building in the public companies. So honored and humbled that I got a little bit of a spotlight on me. And then it boils down to who I am and my integrity, my ethics, my business acumen that helps keep me in favor and helps keep me being invited back into many rooms over and over again.
For sure, brother. That's awesome. I mean, it's not often because I'm the CEO of a public company also, and I've discovered that it's a very small knit group.
Yeah.
There's not many of us that are out there. And I got to ask you, like from one CEO to another, did you ever have an intention, like from the beginning, to be a public company?
No. But
but that's the fallacy, right? Though it's like everyone thinks it's like, oh yeah, these guys always, always have it in their minds, like that's the direction that I'm going.
I guess so. I mean, some people for sure that I've met, I don't know how they got that from the womb, but for me, I love creating value. Taking over as CEO of DLMI, bringing that value to shareholders and having it being transparent and in real time, that's what excites me, because a lot of the stuff that I've done in my private companies and holdings, you don't know about it, right? And the value is either the top stakeholders or the partnerships that you put together, but to have a wide and growing shareholder base and then them loving what you're doing and holding on to what you're doing. So my goal here is to create the next Berkshire Hathaway Class A stock. That's how I envision having a strong balance sheet and rewarding these shareholders. So it's exciting and I cherish this moment in my career very much.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I mean, how far into it? I'm curious because even with founding the company that I have right now, Reach Out, it was, how long was it? 13 years into its existence that we went public, and I had not a thought in the world about taking it public until about 10 or 11 years in.
Yeah, for us, it's the trajectory of my journey. So I took over this one that's been in existence since 1954. Just the way that it was structured, very low float, very controlled. A lot of these companies have billions of shares out there. You don't know who has them, and they're just constantly dumping. This was a unique structure and vehicle that really mimicked what I was doing in my private career. So to answer your question very longly, it's been a public company since 1954, but what we're doing now, the value that we're creating is kind of the heights it's ever seen in its history.
Well, that's cool. So how did you get involved in the pubco then? Because I reverse merged. Like we took the private company and then went public. You're saying that your company was in existence since 1954, or probably before then, but was public since 1954?
Correct. Yeah, the Salt Lake City. So I don't know if you've experienced this in your career, but I've always been pitched these, garbage public vehicles that are just pump and dump, right? You see these things all the time. They can't get out of their own way, and they're just marketing machines to take advantage of people. When I got introduced to this one and saw how it was structured and the vision of its owner, Michael Reynolds, who kept this thing alive, him and I aligned. He's 79 years old. He thinks old school. Balance sheets, you want to be in business, you need revenues, you want to stay in business, you need to be profitable, dividend distribution. How do you create value? So why I love the public vehicle is you have that capability of valuable paper, right, that people may or may not want. And you can really help fuel the growth of companies, acquiring companies, merging with companies when you have that liquid paper or that valuable paper or perceived value paper. So for what I've always done in my career in identifying maybe distressed assets or companies that needed a little help, a little guidance or an introduction here or there, you can take something from zero to hero if you have the right network and the right strategy and the right team. And now doing that here with DLMI is really putting that on steroids because you have that direct to market response on the deals that you make or the opportunities that you create.
That's cool. So did you do the same thing as I did, a reverse merge? You took one of your private companies and went into it?
Just took over the company as CEO. We changed the entire structure and vision of the company. So the structure here is an old school GE model. So DLMI will be the parent umbrella, our equity holders or our stockholders.
Yeah.
Underneath that are industry agnostic subsidiaries or assets that we've identified that we want to bring inside of the umbrella. And then what's made us famous in the market is my work over the last 10 years in things like regulated digital assets or security tokens and implementing that into our business model. So I do believe we created the future model of all public companies of how you grow and build these companies or these assets and how you pipe in a regulated security token to help fuel the growth of these companies.
Yeah. So the subs then, because I mean, you've got the umbrella, right, which is DLMI. And then the subs underneath that, you're saying they're industry agnostic. So they really don't have anything to do with each other when you go out and grab them?
They may or may not. The way that I built my private holdings, Esposito Intellectual Enterprises, that's 23 plus years of me identifying, building, and acquiring companies. So that has over 110 entities in it and over 25 different industries. So it is this little mini GE structure that I did in my private career.
Yeah.
And now replicating that in the public company. And how I see it is you fuel and identify these companies. Our board is ridiculous. These are icons in different industries that are supporting my vision and what we're doing here. So we have access to all these different great industries. And then taking an asset that's valued at X, bringing in our tools, reach, and resources to make it valued at a multiple of X. So it boosts our balance sheets and creates additional value for our shareholders. And then our strategy is, okay, now we have this model. Let's invite in a licensed and regulated way international investors that have always identified or seen public companies or they've seen assets that they want to own, but they never had a chance to. So with that security token component, that blockchain component, we allow new ways of liquidity and creating more assets and more cash value to our balance sheet or to those companies. And then the model is either stay there and earn for our shareholders in our parent umbrella, or we spin them off to be their own standalone IPO moment. All of that has been done before. It's not really done present day. There's a whole different mentality. The thing that we're doing different is that regulated security token component, which we've all seen now with the likes of BlackRock and Securitize and what they're doing. This is work that I've been focused on over the last 10 years and now including it into the DLMI business model.
Yeah. When did you take over the Pubco? How long ago?
August of 2023.
Okay. Yeah. So just a little over a year. I thought it was recent for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's anything like me, I mean, because the public vehicle I used to do what I did, similar scenario, right? Like old brand, Youngling's Ice Cream Corporation.
Very cool.
Over 100 years old at this point. Of course, the symbol and the symbol change and the name change are in progress with FINRA. And, it's been paused while we get some of our reverse merger filings in place, which has been just a freaking nightmare. This last year, dude, has been just a stupid storm in the auditing industry and everything else that goes along with that. But it's so intriguing because taking these brands that have been decades old and then doing something really cool with them. Yeah. I mean, it's like an ice cream company becomes a cybersecurity company. It's like a company from 1954 gets involved in blockchain. It's so cool how these things can morph. But it's a lot of individuals don't even understand. When you look at Google, right, or you look at Nest. Yeah, and those are actually not the public companies. Everyone says, "Oh, Google's public." Well, Google's actually a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Of Alphabet. Exactly.
Yeah.
So a similar scenario. It's like, what does a search engine have to do with a thermostat?
Right.
And that's why I'm asking you the questions. I mean, we've got listeners on the show, all over the world and all different variances of business and even just, consumers that go to work somewhere, in like a law firm or something like that. It's like a lot of these concepts are just lost on the general public as a whole. So if somebody's looking to get invested into DLMI, or into right now it's YCRM, understanding that might not exactly be, that's just the parents that's up there, and you look at from your perspective, it's like you have something that's a little bit more unique, but more than what I have, but also somewhat similar to even Alphabet, how Alphabet has all of these different subsidiaries that do what it is. Sonos,
a great comparison, man. That's
yeah, for sure. You bet. Isn't Sonos owned by Alphabet as well now at this point? There is a speaker coming. I think so. Yeah, but there's so many. I mean, I almost want to look it up as we're talking, but there's so many sub companies of of Alphabet, and Google would be one of them. But like I said, a search engine, or email or something has nothing to do with a thermostat. It's kind of cool. But what are some of the? Give me an example, like industry. Now, give me like 2 or 3 examples of some of the.
Yeah, a lot of them are being announced, so I got to be careful how I can describe them. But heavy in TV, film, and media. Going very heavy in commercial real estate. That's where we are here. We're actually embedded in Colliers internationally here in the Salt Lake City headquarters. And we're working together on what does the future of commercial real estate look like with the tokenization aspect or fractionalized ownership of these assets. I'm seeing the world, I don't believe in the current value of the stock market or this. People are hurting out in the streets. The price of things are crazy. So I'm out there working in the trenches every day for my entire career. So I know what's happening in the world. I see for rent signs in very highly trafficked areas. Yeah. I see building vacancies mimicking what they were in 2007 and understanding in a few years' time, there's $7 trillion of commercial paper that's maturing in the U.S. alone. That's a big problem. Banks don't want those properties back, and the valuation of those buildings are not sustainable. But when you look at fractionalized ownership of these buildings or tokenization and the program and licensed exchanges and the licensed digital asset exchanges that we're part of, how do you bring liquidity to that building and give ownership to the 99% around the world and never had a chance to buy into these things? That's what we're really excited about. And then we're going to be repeating this entire model across all the industries that I have experience in, and then across all the industries that are advisors that are supporting us that have tremendous successful experience in.
That's really cool. Yeah. While you were giving us that different outlook on really what your public company has for the subsidiaries, I was taking a look here. Waze is another subsidiary of Google. I mean, it's a navigation platform, right? That's been around forever. So, and the one that surprised me, it wasn't Sonos, but the one that really surprised me when I took a look at this, because there's lots of them, right? But Fitbit is one.
The fitness. They can take every bit of data from you that they can find.
and that's a good point, man, because that's kind of the common thread. Right. If you take a look at a lot of Google's or Alphabet's subsidiaries, the common thread across the board is really the gathering of data.
Yep.
And
exploiting that data.
One could say that. Yeah, absolutely. So if you had to identify, do you have a common thread across, even though they're industry agnostic, but is there a common thread or even a common purpose that you could identify across all the different companies?
Yeah, it's bringing more efficiencies and higher margins to these companies, and then taking and identifying assets that we feel are undervalued and putting it into our program and creating or unlocking additional value. So that's the common thread. There's a humanitarian play here where we want to allow access to create wealth for households that never had a chance to buy into it. And the reality is, if you got a good Morgan Stanley account, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs account, your broker will call you one day and say, I have an IPO moment for you to make even more money. But everybody's phone is not ringing with that opportunity. So we want to bring education to the global on how do you get involved in buying into businesses or assets or real world assets? How do you do it legally and correctly with regulatory? And how do you create some additional income or wealth into a household that never had that opportunity? That's how you help people feel better about themselves, feel stronger about themselves, and have more confidence. And we believe if people have that, and we can be a small component of that, the world can ultimately start to domino and become a more positive and more pleasurable space. People are living in fear and anxiety and uncertainties. It doesn't matter. Every day you go on your phone, you look online, and you're going to be hit with something that's going to freak you out or scare you. It's hard to perform and feel good about yourself in that environment. But if you can have some sort of financial security or a chance to create financial security, then you have a chance to be a better person and kind of get yourself out of a situation that you may have been born into.
Yeah, well, that's a good route to go, man. Let's steer the conversation that direction, because it's I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but I was talking about this, and they were actually rather surprised, because here I am, the CEO of a public company, and I think they were talking about donating some things to a local church, or going out to buy some gifts to donate to a church. It was like a giving tree program. And when you're talking about philanthropy, that way, some kids in the church could have Christmas in essence, right? Because sometimes Christmas is related to the traditional gift giving, getting together with family. And I said, oh yeah, I remember that because when I was young, I was a recipient of those things. I remember it was like 2 or 3 years in a row where, there was no money within my family growing up to be able to even buy Christmas gifts. And the church that we were a part of would bring Christmas gifts to us.
Oh, nice.
It's phenomenal. And it was, I wish I remember who I was talking to, but they're like, that was you? That happened? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like growing up. It's like my dad sold term life insurance in the ghetto. My mom, for extra cash, ran a daycare in essence out of the house, watched like 6 or 7 kids, for cash. And it's like, now it's like, that's one of the reasons why, dude, it's never lost on me.
Good.
The gratefulness of where I'm at and how much I want to be able to help others to get to whatever point that is in their lives that makes them content, happy, feel like they've quote unquote made it, and it's, cause let's be real. It's like, I don't ever feel like I've made it, man, just because I'm constantly pushing forward and yeah, exactly. But if we observe, man, Brian, if we take like this zoomed out view of our lives, it's like, exactly.
Yeah.
And so many would be like, oh, they've made it.
Yeah. Well, we're not motivated by the money. Like, what it's like.
That's the difference, bro.
It's like
seriously.
Yeah. And the fact that you remember where you came from, it seems easy for you, but my God, I've met 9 out of 10 people that I meet that have wealth. No, either they don't want to remember where they came from or they're completely oblivious to where they came from, which is unfortunate because it causes this disconnect with reality.
Yeah, right on. I think it applies to so many things, man. Because I mean, even tipping at a restaurant, as an example, it's like, and it's really here and probably Canada, right? Northern America is, from what I understand, is really where most of the tipping culture in the world exists.
Sure.
Not really outside of here, but I mean, even, dinner the other night, I'm getting ready to travel. I'm at O'Hare, which, by the way, the best restaurant at O'Hare Airport in Chicago is actually not in the airport. It's in the Hilton that's attached to it. It's a steakhouse. So I'm there and I don't remember the name of it, dude, but I mean, you go in, it's like this old school steakhouse that there's like mahogany all over the walls. It looks
beautiful.
It is incredible. Yeah. I got to remember the name of this thing. I never remembered. I just know it's there and that's where I go. If I have extra time, that's where I eat at my own airport, not in the airport. I'm not eating at Chili's, or whatever it is. So much sodium, whatever it is. Man, but when I'm there, it's like I go to fill it out, and it's like, especially this time of year, brother. It's like seriously around the holidays, and it's like I am going extra. If it's 30%, 40%, and then I'll get a notification from my credit card company. Capital One's really good. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, because the tip actually goes into them separately. Like, did you mean to tip 40%? Like, I get those notifications. I'm like, yeah, I actually did. But that's the generosity, of course, as well, when you come from not much. Yeah. And it's like you hit it head on in the midst of my rant, is that it's not about the money. No. Of course, we're going to make money. And there's a big reason to make a lot of money. I think it's to have more resources, to be able to do other things that align with your purpose. Yeah. And plus, let's be real, the more money, quite literally, we're talking public company wise, the more money that's involved, the more stress that's on us too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And you have to always perform more than your last quarter. You're never, how good were you to me in the past? It's how good are you to me now and then in the future, which is okay because it continues to motivate us and inspire us to always go out and create value and do wonderful things. I was curious to ask you, I love that you talked about the service industry because I'm ridiculously over generous in that space. Yeah. In 2016, a drunk driver hit me in a car accident in Nashville, and was a domino effect for me to losing everything and having to rebuild my entire little empire to where I am today. But even during those times when I had nothing, it's just in your DNA, right? I still wanted to help people. I still wanted to give more than I had, and what maybe you can relate to this. When people ask me like what I want, if it's my birthday or Christmas, there's nothing that I want, not in an obnoxious way, like I have everything, because I had nothing and I've been through this journey like you have. Yeah. It's not important to me. I don't need a collection of watches or a collection of cars or these tokens of my success. I'd rather just go out there and bust my ass and keep evolving and do everything I can to help warranted people. That's the key.
Dude,
helping
totally.
warranted people, not the wrong people, because that just creates more chaos and noise for your life.
No joke. Now that you're talking, it's like when you look at it, I mean, we're recording this right today, December 17th, but I'm going to make sure that this one publishes now before Christmas, because I had no intention of the conversation going this way, dude, but it's awesome that it is, because it's a similar scenario. And, my son, my 14-year-old son the other day was talking about, I never know what to get dad, because he has anything he wants.
Yeah.
And he also, goes out to get anything that he might want. And it's like, some of those things, it's like when you truly know a person and when you put thought into spending time with them, but this is the difference. It's like gift giving. It's like, can you shift that into thinking, I'm going to give them a smile. What can I do around a gift that will actually bring a smile to their face when they open this thing? And dude, for something like that, I mean, I've had people get me, a bottle of wine, that's it. It's like, oh, thank you. And it's because they know it's a wine that I like. So there's thought that went into it for them to just be like, hey, I thought about you and I appreciate you being in my life, or even something as simple. I remember my daughter, young, like 5 or 6 years old. And of course, at the time, my wife, she helped her with that, but just a box of Andes mints.
Nice.
Seriously, because it's like, I've got some over there too. And it's like, and I've had people give me these, it's like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, you thought about me.
Exactly. That's all it is. It's not about the value of the gift. It's the value of the time, the effort, and being conscious to know what you may like. And that, to me, that's a bond, right? That's a true friend or a true companion.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I have no idea what you like, but after
these mints, man,
there you go. I'm going to send you a box. I was looking on Amazon the other day to be able to like ship something to just brighten somebody's up, but dude, on there I have to get like 18 boxes in a shipment. I can't just get like a $2 box. Yeah, no joke. So prepare Brian to have 18 boxes of Andes mints show up to you.
Well, was a nice moment the other day, and you just had me reflect, and I don't like to talk about anything, but I was at a cheesecake factory in like a busy shopping mall. Had a great early dinner, and we're leaving, and there was this older couple. I would assume as the wife was in a wheelchair, and the husband was behind her. And I don't blame people in this situation. It's holiday season. Everybody's looking down on their phone. They just kept walking past these people. So I turned around, and I could tell they needed some sort of help. The guy couldn't hold the door open to exit and also get his wife out because it wasn't an automatic door. And nobody even acknowledged them. So I walked over, I escorted people aside, and I was like, let's get these people out. So held the door open for them. They were so grateful. They lit up like the smile that you're talking about. But then I watched them go down the street. I don't know if they would have done this or not. It's that whole pay it forward thing. But then I watched her, as we were crossing the crosswalk, lean over and give a homeless guy there to go. And then I saw him light up. And it was like this really nice, magical domino moment of maybe that sparked something. Maybe it didn't. Maybe they're going to do that anyway. But it was nice to be a part of that little bit of bliss in a few people's moments of their busy lives.
Yeah, no joke. I think a lot of people miss out on that too. There are years, I mean, quite literally going back to my childhood to where it's like, I don't know if my parents, got gifts during those years I was talking about where we didn't really have money to have that traditional Christmas ourselves. But I do remember them consistently being generous with anything they came up with their time, especially with their time, with any sort of help somebody might need, if it's monetary or even giving a ride somewhere. It's like those little things, man. And it's
huge. They're huge.
Yeah. And it carries over into this, so example, like let's go back to public company as well. Just hired a new salesperson about 6 weeks ago. She's a badass. She's already crushing it, and within just a couple weeks, closed a $250,000 deal, and it's just hungry and going after it, and the way that we're set up with semi-monthly pay periods, so it's twice a month, is sometimes when somebody gets hired at a specific point, it's like 3 weeks until their first check. And going into the end of the season here, the end of the year with this holiday season, I'm like, well, talking with our human resources, like, well, just check with her and see if she might want to have that
answers.
Exactly. Yeah. You doing like a 50-50 so she can have half of her first check that's supposed to come 3 weeks from now and have it 1 week from now, or a couple days from now, and see if that might help her shifting jobs and all that. And she came back and she was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. And she's like, well, that was all Rick, and it's like, he's just thinking that way. And I think that when you grow up the way that I did, or like going from quite literally nothing to even public CEO, it's a different mindset, man. I get it from you. There's no sense of entitlement with you, brother.
No, sometimes I feel alone, right? Because everybody else seems to have that.
Yeah.
I like our connection, even in this quick conversation, though. I often crave depth with people, and it's hard to find. Yeah. Like I find it in the 70-plus-year-old population, because I think they were obviously raised in a different era and different situations. Those are the people I connect with, and I just sit there and absorb what they're saying like a sponge and learn. And but it's nice to find a kindred spirit like you out in the world, and I'm excited to see where our friendship goes to.
Totally, brother. I mean, I have Kevin Harrington, who is the OG shark from Shark Tank, is on my board. We've had a friendship now, 4 years, 5 years. I love telling the story where he said no to me for like 2 years straight to doing business with me, until I presented him with everything. He's like, oh, this is a bold idea. I like bold ideas. But I just talked to him last week about some plans going into the next year, and called him, then text him. And he's like, I'm actually in New York right now with my family, with my son and my grandkids. And I'm just having a good time. He's like, it'll be hard to actually get an hour meeting, but I'll just call, like tomorrow or something. So when we're talking on the phone, I mean, a lot of the conversation is just personal stuff. He's like, yeah, I love spending time with my family and all that. He's like, I tried to as much as I could during the years, but he's like, still, I gotta he's like, buddy, he's like, I gotta break away still and take care of biz, but it's so cool because I look at him along the lines of our conversation. It's like, I've never seen him. Here's a dude that's worth like $500 million, right? And has, built over 20 companies with $100 million or more in revenue, has been involved with so many different products, billions in sales with the seen on TV stuff, and yet still down to earth and no sense of entitlement whatsoever. Yeah. And I look at him, it's like, he's, I think 66 or 67 now. And it's like, I'm never going to retire, dude. I know I'm never going to retire, but I think I want to transition, and he's who I'm looking up to right now. Yeah. And it's like, when I'm 20 years to my senior, because I'm 45 now, that's what I want to be doing with my life.
Nice.
Spending time with family.
Yeah. The fact that you have that visual to identify the road you want to be on it helps. A lot of people don't have that. They just have to figure it out, and who wants to waste time figuring it out? So
for sure. It'd be great. Let's be real too. Real talk. Because I'm all about straight real talk. It'd be great to be worth $500 million too. Yeah. And
I don't see it not in your cards. I think you're fine. You're well on the road.
Well, thanks, brother. I'm sure you have the same feeling, because it's like, we're going towards stuff, and it's like winning is important to me too. Yeah. I mean, just as much as generosity is, but in order to be super generous, you also have to win. In order to win, you have to be super generous.
Yeah.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
But again, generous with the right resources, the right time, the right people. Like, I used to co-sign for people's homes when I was building my first few companies, and held my employees and co-sign for their cars, give advancements, pay 100% of their health insurance. I don't blame them. During my journey where I lost everything, all these people that I helped and supported and fueled, I couldn't get an hour out of them. And it was very disheartening. And I could have went in a corner and became a very negative and angry and bitter person. But I am thankful I was smart enough knowing, well, that's not going to solve me coming back and fighting back and learning how to earn again.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, grateful that lady hit me because she could have killed somebody. And I'm grateful that she hit me because my world and my model had to be completely destroyed so I can rebuild it correctly. I would never have been able to piecemeal to where I am today, or fix things here, don't fix things there. It had to be destroyed, and I had to be of the right mindset to still like people, which was very difficult during my experiences. Yeah. Because that's my value. The way that I connect with people want to be around me. I'm humorous. I always find a solution. That was one of my biggest values, why I got invited into crazy rooms, because I used to laugh. If you're calling me to help you, then you really are screwed. But the reality was, the way that I think And the way that I strategize is very unique. And that's a very big value. So I use that to help me rebuild and create this amazing arsenal of talent like you have around you. And you only get that if you're a good, decent person. Now you can fake it a little bit and screw people here and there, and you can get some support of high levels, but that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
The fact that you have these icons around you is a testament to you as who you are as a person, your soul, your integrity, your business acumen, and you're going to surpass these people, and they're going to be happy for you when you do, because you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm sure you are too, my man. And it's
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think the numbers are every 1,000 people I meet, there's one decent one. So that's the model.
You track that for real?
It's pretty close.
That's interesting. I've never tracked that. I mean, we talk about data points earlier, dude. Like that's an interesting data point. How do you measure that?
I'm not judging. I should rephrase it. I always say it because out of emotion, they're not right for me. Right?
Yeah.
They're good or bad people. I'm not here judging anybody, but what's right for me, I need to make sure I always align with ethics, integrity. I need people to have empathy, like from what you've been through. You understand empathy. You're over tipping on waitress and waiters. You're out there helping people because of what you've been through. If I don't sense that from somebody, I don't care if we can make $1 billion together, I will not spend a single second of my time.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep. It's a good juxtaposition you're talking about here too, because as you were talking about literally everything you just said, I start to think it's like there is a group who would be listening to this or seeing this, if this is on social, if this is a clip that we share, to where it's like, oh, look at these guys, the public CEOs talking about, being able to give money to other people. And it's like, look at them. It's like, what are they doing this for a badge of honor? Are they doing this, to boast about what they're doing? And it's like, no, it's like all of this is like people that give anonymously. I think there's times for that, and this is my view on anonymous giving versus actually talking about it, which is what we're doing right now. I think if you talk about it, it can encourage other people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we can nudge those who might be a little bit on the fence to where it's like, you just gave 20%. Anybody listening right now or watching, right? You just gave 20%. What if you bumped it up to 25 just for the next month? Yeah. Because people eat out all the time.
Life, but it changes and impacts greatly the lives of others. Yeah.
Right on. I mean, there's times to where it's like a server will come back, going back to the service and just be like, I just wanted to tell you thank you.
Yeah. I'll because I know that industry very well, hospitality, F&B. I will sit there and I will take time to do the guest surveys, because it really impacts them. And I'll make sure they get the waiter or waitress's name. I'm a little bit crazy. I'll connect with the CEO of a company that I may not be connected with, and I will give them an entire paragraph of how great that person is and keep an eye out on them. They're a rock star. And I emphasize with my companies why I'm reaching out to is because I need that inbound with my own holdings and my own companies. I need people to tell me who are the ones that I may be missing or may not have spent enough time with that are important, that are valuable, that really take a sense of pride and ownership in their job. Those are the people that I need others to tell me about and identify with, because it's that old saying, you're only show me what you're doing when nobody's looking, right? That's when you know the true integrity and character of somebody. But I will say, whenever anybody talks about anonymous giving, I always think of an exceptional Larry David episode when everybody knows who donated the anonymous wing of a hospital, I think, or a museum.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, classic episode if you want to.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yep. It's like, I love it. It's like, give strong, give more than what you think you can possibly give, and give visibly.
Yeah.
And when you give visibly, you will be able to have an army behind you. They'll be like, yeah, maybe I can do that too. Or maybe I can do a little more, because look over there. It's great. You talk about the power of community and almost like the same vibrations and energy that exists in that. When you give visibly, other people see that and they're like, oh, take a look at that. Because if you're giving anonymously, dude, it's almost going to be like an anonymous recipient. You won't be able to see the result of something like that. And we're not doing it for that. But if other people see the result of that visible giving,
it's true.
They're going to see the visible result.
Influence, and you can inspire people to give. That's where you get the multiplier. Right?
Yeah, right on.
You're right. I agree with that.
I love it, brother.
I think you have to be consistent and strategic about it. Not just hey, it's Christmas, I'll give. and then you feel like you did your good deed, just throw a thing up to God and say, look what I just did, and then forget about the next 11 months. I don't know if that's impactful. It's got to be part of your daily routine of some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's ways to pick that out too, right? It's like if I have an opportunity to, as an example, because I very much support all the men and women in our armed forces in the country.
Big time.
It's a heartfelt thing of mine. So if I see, it's interesting because I look at, the Vietnam vets, right. Or the Korean War, and a lot of them wear the hats.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Right on. So,
you'll walk up and I will shake their hand and thank them. And when they feel acknowledged, oh my God, do you feel that kind of energy?
Totally, bro. Dude, I will grab their check.
Yeah.
And this is an anchor point for me. It's like whenever I see somebody and I'm in a restaurant, and it's going back. This is a restaurant thing. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe that's why we're going this route today.
That's not about food.
Yeah, right on. When I see them in a restaurant, I'll always like, hey, you need to send their bill to me, or at least swipe my card on this. That way you can close it out if it's a table service or whatever it is, or if it's in line, if the person's in front of me at line, I will step ahead and then be like, no, this is on me today. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Have you gotten I've done that so many times, especially in Starbucks for some reason. I always see a group of soldiers. A lot of them are in their uniforms. And when I do that, I get so upset because they're shocked.
I know.
It's like these are the people why we are where we are today, why we have our limbs and why we can do what we can do. Like it's because of them, and the fact that they're not feeling on top of the world and loved by at least Americans. And I understand if you don't like guns and you don't want to see war, but we are the country we are because of these men and women, and you have to respect and show them respect. And whenever somebody does the opposite, I get so offended. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll tell you what. I think we're going to wrap up there. And dude, I'd love to just dedicate this episode to, because I think about everybody who's serving here and abroad. And I've actually never done this before either, man, because just as you were talking about that, just the visibility and that they don't have, it's like, here's a platform. Let's bring some attention to them for Christmas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because there's so many that are not home with their families.
And Jon Stewart does this remarkably, the comedian Daily Show, how he stands up for our veterans. He goes to Congress. He's out there pounding his chest. Did the same thing for 9/11 victims. Like people like him, we need more of. And you have icons like him with a voice, but the power is people like us, right? On the ground. If thousands of us or hundreds of thousands of us do that and support that, we can change things 100%.
Yeah. Well, to everyone out there, thank you for keeping us safe. Brian and I are here just to give another voice, give visibility to you for a great Merry Christmas. And hopefully, even when you come out, if you're in there for career, that's awesome. Go for it. If you're not, hit Brian and I up. Maybe we can get you on the path. There's so many cool entrepreneurs, dude, that have come out of the military as well. In the next phase of their life.
Lay your life on the line for your country, and damn right we'll have you with any of our companies helping us grow, because you're the caliber of people that companies and entrepreneurs need around them.
Right on. Brian, thanks for coming on, man, and thanks for getting deep with me today too.
Yeah, that was deep.
Great. Yeah,
it was good. Thank you, Kyle. I mean, you're doing amazing. Your show's amazing, and anything I can ever do to help you with your company or your initiatives, I'm a phone call away.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Kyle.